Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Staats Cotsworth, starring as Casey crime photographer from 75 years ago today, November 13th, 1947. Too Many Angels, and we thank you for tuning in. On this Sunday, this is the 13th day of November. Yes, Friday the 13th came on a Sunday this month. It's the 317th day of 2022, 48 days left till we get to 2023. Collier's magazine on this date in 1909 accused U.S. Secretary of the Interior Richard Ballinger of questionable dealings in Alaska's coal fields. The Supreme Court declared the Alabama and Montgomery laws requiring segregated buses illegal in 1956. This ended the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1960, Sammy Davis Jr. married Swedish actress May Britt. Interracial marriage in 1960 was still illegal in 31 out of the 50 United States. Now, with those last two items, tell me how far we have come. In 1971, the American space probe Mariner 9 has become the first spacecraft to orbit another planet, swinging its planned trajectory around Mars without a hitch. In 1974, nuclear activist Karen Silkwood killed in a car crash while she was traveling to an interview with New York Times reporter David Burnham. And of course, the motion picture about her life was very, very powerful. Ronald Defoe murdered his family in Amityville, New York on this date in 1974, the basis of the movie The Amityville Horror. A boxing match held in Las Vegas on this date in 1982 ended when Ray Mancini defeated Kim Duck-Koo.
I was on top of the world. I was just 21 years old. I had reached my peak as a fighter. I was riding a wave. Well, they told me that I was going to fight the Pan-Pacific Asian champion, Duk-Koo Kim. I knew it would be an action fight, but I felt my strength would overcome and my ability would be able to defeat him. So at the beginning of the 14th round, I ran across the ring and I noticed that he was coming off his stool slow. So right away I jumped on him. I threw right hand, I hit him, left hook, right, and then a straight right hand, caught him right on the chin and dropped him. When you see a guy go down, you feel like Hercules. You feel like a shark smelling blood. At the count of 9, he held onto the rope and pulled himself up. But then he staggered back, and the referee, Richard Green, stopped it. I never knew that he got carried off by a stretcher. I never knew that until I saw it on TV. Immediately after the fight, we were in my hotel room. My trainer, Murphy Griffith, came up. He said, "Ray, it don't look good." I said, "What up?" I said, "This boy Kim, it don't look good." And he said, "You better prepare yourself for the worst."
Ray Mancini, in an interview with the BBC, Kim's death 5 days later led to significant changes in boxing. In 1985, Javier Suarez sworn in as Miami's first Cuban-born mayor. Beauty and the Beast released in theaters in 1991. Disney movie The Lion King opened on Broadway in 1997. President Clinton agreed to pay Paula Jones $850,000 to settle a sexual harassment lawsuit in 1998. In the first such act since World War II, President George W. Bush signed an executive order on this date in 2001, allowing military tribunals against any foreigners suspected of having connections to terrorist acts or planned acts on the United States. Also in 2001, Afghanistan's ruling Taliban abandoned the capital, Kabul, without a fight, allowing U.S.-backed Northern Alliance fighters to take over the city. In 2003, Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore thrown off the bench by a judicial ethics panel after refusing to remove a granite Ten Commandments monument from the state courthouse. In 2009, Attorney General Eric Holder announced plans to try professed 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 others in civilian court in New York City. The Obama administration administration later backed off that plan. And it was on this date in 2013, World Trade Center officially opened on the site of the World Trade Center that was destroyed in 2001 by terrorists. Passing away on this date in history, Italian film director Vittorio De Sica, also hee-haw comedian Junior Samples, BR549, Mexican-born pro wrestler Eddie Guerrero, such a sad story, and singer-songwriter Leon Russell. Born on this date in history, Alexander Scorby.
The first book of Moses, called Genesis. Chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
By the way, those Bibles, those spoken Bibles, used to be Bible on tape, now it's on CD or even something else, are still available through Scorby.com. That's SCOURBY.com. Also born on this date in history, actor Jack Elam. Also game show host Jack Nars, one of the best. Also actor Richard Mulligan, producer, director, and writer and actor Gary Marshall. He did so many great shows. And Timmy Thomas, musician Why Can't We Live Together, passing away this year at the age of 77. This is number 75 for Joseph Nangtenya, the fine actor. Also, Whoopi Goldberg turned 67. From Scrubs in the Middle, Neil Flynn is 62. Jimmy Kimmel turns 55. And Monique Coleman from High School Musical is 42. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 13th day of November as their birthday. If this is your birthday,
hi, we're the four freshmen, and we just want to say happy birthday to you.
And from 75 years ago today, November 13th, 1947, Staats Cotsworth as Casey crime photographer on this Sunday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. The best way to stay in touch with us is to go to our webpage, classicradio.stream, or go to our social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find them all at classicradio.stream. Right now, we go back 75 years on this Sunday to November 13th, 1947, Staats Cotsworth as Casey crime photographer.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
What's new, Ethelbert?
I was just reading here where a fellow in town won $5,000.
How did he win it?
He sent in the winning name to a radio contest. Gee, $5,000 is a lot of money for a name.
Well, I don't know. A good name can be very valuable. What do you say, Tony?
Oh, yes, indeed. You know, some people buy a good name and other people earn it.
Like what?
Well, like Anchor Hocking earned their name by years and years of great work. And that's why today, Anchor Hocking is the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Our adventure for tonight, Too Many Angels. The Blue Note Cafe. early evening, and we find Ann Williams, news reporter for the Morning Express, perched on one of the high bar stools. Casey, with his camera and film case, hasn't arrived as yet, and Ethelbert, the bartender, for lack of something better to do, says,
Walter, you better bring up some more lemons.
and Ann says,
Gee, I hate to go home tonight.
Just hum the chorus, Miss Williams. Maybe I've heard it.
Hum what chorus?
See how I hate to go home tonight? I never can remember popular songs.
Ethelbert, that isn't a song. That's how I feel on account of my apartments being painted today. And I hate the smell of paint, and things are all upside down. I don't know how I'll be able to sleep.
Well, gee, my sister Edna'd be glad to let you use her. No, I guess you couldn't sleep on that. It's kind of...
Oh, thanks. Anyway, Ethelbert, maybe Casey will barge in with one of those all-night assignments.
I was hoping to catch you here, Annie. I got a great idea, Annie.
What'd I tell you? Speak of angels, and you hear the flapping of their...
Make mine the same, Ethelbert.
Yeah,
will you?
sure, Casey. Coming right up.
Huh? Now, what's that about angels, Annie?
You tell me. A great idea, you said.
Yeah. I feel like stepping out for a change tonight, Annie. Dinner and a show. Later, we can drop in at the Top Hat Club.
Why, Casey, this is so sudden.
Sudden? No, I mean it. What's the best show in town?
How about Angel Face?
Angel Face. Well, that's a musical. It won't open till next Monday.
I'm with a bit of influence, Casey. I can get us in to see a preview performance tonight.
Hey, that sounds exciting.
How much influence, Ethelbert?
Oh, $100 worth.
100? Huh? Well, I don't get it.
Well, I was going to keep the news kind of subnormal until after I started getting weekly dividends.
You mean you put $100 into that show?
I'm what we call an angel, Casey.
Yeah, I know what you are, but how did it happen to you?
Oh, you know how it is here in the Blue Note, celebrities and such. They get on the confidential side, you know. So a few months ago, when Miss Carling asked me did I want to take a crack at the big money...
Miss Carling?
Yeah, a blonde, Annie. First name's Eva. Sings, dances. She's in the show.
Oh, the man with the photographic memory.
Thanks.
For blondes.
You must have seen her in here, too, Miss Williams. Pretty, but, you know.
So you gave Miss Carling your piggy bank, and later on you got a legal paper making you a limited partner in Angel Face.
Ain't it all right?
It's legal, as I say.
So, if you folks will do me the honor, I'll be glad to escort you to the preview.
Suits me. I think it'll be fun.
I'll get my other coat. This is my night off if I want it, but I usually don't because why should I?
We'll have dinner together, too, Ethelbert.
Anything to keep me out of my four walls tonight. The apartment's being redecorated, and I'm afraid to go home.
Oh, Annie, what a sucker, that poor guy. I read the out-of-town notices. Angel Face is so bad they're going to have to produce it again before the critics can even call it a flop.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, well, don't tell Ethelbert.
It cost $200,000 so far, Annie. They've had all kinds of trouble, and on top of that, Carlo Chapman is the artistic genius behind the whole mess.
You mean the nightclub owner?
Yeah. What kind of a splash will $100 making that show, with or without Chapman behind it?
Oh, poor Ethelbert. Isn't there something you can do, Casey?
Well, I ought to go backstage and turn Eva Carling over my knee and spank her.
Don't be silly. Huh.
I'll pay the taxi, Casey.
Okay.
Well, there seems to be quite a crowd going into the theater.
Yeah, friends, relatives, and chief mourners.
Now, don't let Ethelbert hear you.
That was a funny driver. I gave him a dime tip and he handed it back. Said I might need it myself. Well, let's go in by the stage door.
Why the stage door?
I want you should both meet Miss Carling. Miss Williams, she's a very charming chanteuse.
What?
That's theatrical language for singer, Casey.
Oh, I see. You've
Yeah.
been studying up. Yeah. Okay, Ethelbert, let's go.
Now, this, Miss Williams, is the behind of the scenes.
Sorry, no visitors. The doorman should have stopped you.
Mister, maybe you don't know it, but I own a considerable hunk of this show, and these here are friends. Mr. Casey and Miss Williams of the Morning Express.
Morning Express? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Jack Blake, stage manager. Anyone from the press is always welcome. But please excuse me, so many last-minute details, and it's almost curtain time. Make yourselves at home.
See, Casey? Angels always get in where fools fear to come.
Yeah.
Well, let's find Miss Carling's room. I want you should meet her.
Yeah, and wish her luck, too. She's gonna need it with this turkey. Annie, watch your step. With cables on the floor and sandbags overhead, the backstage of a theater is a dangerous place
Okay.
to... Uh-oh.
What?
Over there near the door. The door with a star on it. That's Carlo Chapman, owner of the Top Hat Club.
Well, tall, dark.
That
and-
crook is one man you're not going to meet, lady.
Oh. By the way, who's the star of Angel Face?
Andrea Balew.
Should I be impressed?
You mean, does La Balew have talent? Well, just average. But she's queen bee in this show, though, thanks to Chapman.
Oh, so it's that way.
Yeah, just some gossip everybody knows. Well, let's move along or we'll lose Ethelbert among these gorgeous gals. What's bothering you, Ethelbert?
Say, Casey, are those real? Those diamonds?
Overture, Mr. Hanson. Overture, Miss Bowsy. Overture coming up, Miss Carling. Overture, Miss Carling.
Well, we've enjoyed meeting you, Miss Carling. We'll get on out front. Good luck.
You look lovely, Miss Carling. That's a very original hairdo, sort of Veronica Lake-ish.
Yeah, it certainly hides your sort of blonde, I mean.
Thanks. It's all of you to wish me luck. I'm sorry I'm not myself tonight.
We understand. Preview butterflies, huh?
Yeah, something else. Nobody can kid me. This show is going right down the drain. Right now, I know it. I sure wish you had your money back, Ethelbert.
Well, gee, Miss Carling, where there's life...
Life? Yeah. Angel Face might live if Andrea Balew dropped dead. She's a double-crossing microbe with a neat pan and a mink coat.
Don't you like her?
Ever since I can remember, Balew has been in my way. I should have had that star part, so I'm lucky to be her understudy. Someday I'll take care of that she-devil. She can't push me around. I won't take it.
Sorry to have to shoo you out, folks.
Oh, that's all right.
That's all right, we understand.
Well, what's wrong with you, Eva?
Nothing at all. You ought to know everything's just that.
Sorry, Mr. Casey, Miss Williams. Everybody's keyed up tonight. Follow me. We can go down these stairs.
I don't know if it would help or not, Mr. Blake, but suppose I take a few shots of your star.
Miss Balew? You mean now?
Why not?
Why, yes, we can use some publicity. That's her dressing room. I'll see if she's ready.
This is your night to howl, all right, Mr. Wolf.
Why, Annie. Only trying to help Ethelbert's investment.
Miss Balew, I have a gentleman outside.
Ah, the diplomat.
I'd better put my head inside and ask if it's safe. You know how temperamental it is. Miss Balew, I was wondering if... Mr. Casey, something's happened. Come here.
What is it?
She's on the floor. She's fainted. I better call a doctor.
Yeah, you better.
I'll be right back.
Hey, no wonder she fainted. She must have had an awful fight with someone. This dressing room's a mess.
I wonder what happened.
This is what happened. Step over here. Look.
Good Lord.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, the show started, Casey. What are we going to do?
Miss Balew can't dance with a knife in her back, Ethelbert. Angel Face has too many angels, including a dead one.
Let me through here. Which dressing room door's which? Say, who's in charge backstage? Get these people out of here. Let me through.
Who was he, anyway?
Ah, Miss Williams. You got here mighty quick.
This way, Captain Logan. So did you.
I suppose Casey's somewhere.
He most certainly is. In here.
Hello, Logan.
What are you doing here?
I'm a news photographer, remember?
I just happened to be driving by and got the radio report myself. How'd you find out about it? Ah, a knifing, huh?
Yes. They were attending the preview of this show. I asked Blake, the stage manager, if I could take some pictures of Miss Balew. We knocked, nobody answered, so we came in. Found this.
Well, our tech squad will be here in a few minutes. In the meantime, I hope you haven't disturbed anything in here.
Wait a minute, Logan. Act your age. You know me. Just a few pictures, that's all. Maybe I can save you some time,
The
though.
looks of this place, it must have been quite a fight. Get that stage manager in here.
I'll get him, Captain.
A fight between two gals.
Gals?
Yeah. Look here.
Strands of yellow hair caught in her nails.
A blonde.
Here's the stage manager, Blake.
We'll wind this business up quick. Blake, round up all the blondes in this company.
I think there's only 4 of the girls.
The one I want has scratches on her face or arms. She's probably trying to hide them with makeup.
I'll catch the girls now before they leave the theater.
There's Miss Carling, who might have something to hide behind a cocker spaniel hairdo.
We'll get to her. Now, about this knife. Oh, hello, Chaplain. So you're here, huh?
Why shouldn't I be? I got an interest in this show. They tell me there's been an accident. That's too bad.
You ever see that weapon before?
I didn't come here to answer no questions, but I'm one of those fellas like to help the cops. I had a falling out with Andrea tonight. I got nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide. We'll see. From November 13th, 1947, Staats Cotsworth, a Casey crime photographer on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 75 years ago today follows these important messages. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We're listening to an episode of Casey Crime Photographer as it was broadcast on Thursday, November 13th, 1947. In the newspapers of that Thursday 75 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Major General Bennett E. Myers testified yesterday he financed a $4 million margin deal in U.S. government bonds during the war without help from Howard Hughes, but on the basis of an inadvertent tip from former Treasury Secretary Henry T. Morgenthau, Jr. While members of a Senate War Investigating Subcommittee listened in astonishment, the retired Air Force procurement officer portrayed himself as a shoestring operator in the U.S. government bond market who found the pickings so easy that a $20,000 investment netted him a paper profit of $90,000 on a single deal. President Truman will open the special session of Congress next Monday with a personal appeal for the two things he wants Congress to do: give immediate aid to Europe and check rising prices in the United States. The president's decision to deliver his message in person to a joint session was announced as he conferred with representatives of industry, labor, and agriculture on methods of producing enough to make European aid feasible. Secretary of Commerce Harriman told the Senate Foreign Relations Committee that the government's proposal to send $597 million in goods to France, Italy, and Austria this winter could be carried out without undue strain on the country's economy. Soviet-supported SLAP at Franco, Spain, approved yesterday by the United Nations Political Committee, but it fell far short of the unanimous vote its backers wanted. The 57-member committee had voted 29-6 for a toned-down mixture of three resolutions aimed against Generalissimo Francisco Franco, France, China, Britain, and Russia among those voting for it. The U.S. and 19 other countries abstained. The committee just reaffirmed a resolution approved by the Assembly last December 12th, which called on UN members to withdraw their ambassadors and ministers from Madrid, and on the Security Council to act if a democratic regime were not installed in Spain in a reasonable time. Plans to hoist a radar umbrella over the United States to warn of approaching hostile bombers or rockets from any portion of the globe disclosed yesterday by two leaders of the National Defense Department. Their plans, aimed at preventing a future aerial Pearl Harbor, sketched only briefly at a press conference by Defense Secretary James V. Forrestal and Dr. Vannevar Bush, head of the military's new Research and Development Board. Both said the nation is now without any early warning adequate to protect it from a surprise air attack. But Forrestal disclosed that some of the nation's top scientists are working on one. President James C. Petrillo of the American Federation of Labor Musicians Union pled innocent yesterday to a charge of violating the Lee Act passed by Congress to curb his powers. The musicians' chief accused in a criminal court filing in federal court of compelling radio station WAAF Chicago to employ 3 musicians which the station contends are not needed. And those are some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Thursday, November 13th, 1947, on your radio Casey Crime Photographer starring Staats Cotsworth, and the conclusion comes up next on this Sunday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Monday on Classic Radio Theater, we head back to River's End in an episode of Dr. Christian starring Jean Hersholt from 75 years ago, November 14th, 1937, the story of Steve and Charlotte Dixon. Mrs. Dixon wants to divorce her husband, thinking they have grown apart. But an accident involving a wealthy woman makes things look quite different. That's coming up on Monday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But now, the conclusion of Casey Crime Photographer starring Staats Cotsworth 75 years ago today, November 13th, 1947.
That's my knife. I recognize it. Had it in my desk at the Top Hat Club. Disappeared 3 weeks ago.
Your lawyer tell you to say all this?
If you figure you can hang anything on me and make it stick, just say the word.
Chapman, I'll talk to you later. Right now, all I want is a blonde.
Yeah, that's all most men want, Logan.
So much for all I know, now let me alone. Why do you keep on asking me over and over again? I told you I was in a room and we had a scrap. I would have killed her, but I didn't. I never saw that knife before. I never saw it. I don't know how it happened.
Will you step outside a minute, Logan? I want to ask you something.
Well, hurry it up.
Listen. Miss Balew was killed, Logan, by a single, clean knife thrust in the back. Well, now, is it logical, after a wild fight between two women, that the knife was only used once? No other cuts or slashes? Why, I'll bet you little Eva can't even peel potatoes without cutting a finger off.
Can't I go home now? Can't you just let me go home and rest?
We were just talking about you, Miss Carling, and
Hold on, Casey.
Casey, look out! Look out, Casey. It was a heavy sandbag. I saw it start to slip from up there.
Yes, yeah, well, we're
You all
okay
right?
anyway.
It must weigh 100 pounds.
Yeah, they use it for counterweights in the curtains. Yeah. Look at this cord.
Yeah.
This didn't wear out or come loose. It was cut with a knife.
Flanagan, get some more light on back here. Come on, Casey. We'll take a look up there on the catwalk, all right?
I'll go up to the flies this way, Logan. If anybody's up there, we'll soon find out.
Be careful, Casey.
Well, not a soul up here, Casey.
Not anymore. Somebody got out through this door to the roof, though. Got away over the fire escape. Down. Now, Logan, listen. Will you give me a break now?
Well, it depends.
Eva Carling couldn't have cut that sandbag loose. She was standing right beside us.
Yeah, that's right.
She's pretty worked up. I'll tell Annie to take her home, and you can pick her up later if you want her.
Okay. Let's go over and have a talk with Carlo Chapman.
Office, huh? Soft lights, softer rugs, all the glossy pin-ups along the walls.
Yeah, the Top Hat Club seems to feature dance teams, if these pictures mean anything.
Ah. Here's a shot of the late, unlamented Miss Andrea Balew.
Yeah?
Kicking up her pretty ankles with a dancing partner. Boy, looks kind of familiar. Oh, good evening, Mr. Chapman. Admiring your picture gallery.
Sure. Look around, plenty. Sorry I wasn't here. Been doing a little exercise.
Yeah? Up and down fire escape?
What?
Oh, never mind. Say, who's the lad with Miss Balew in this shot here?
He used to be part of the team. Blue and Balew. I gave him their start here at the club.
Blue and Balew? Sounds funny.
He got hurt. Couldn't dance anymore. So Miss Balew had to do a single act. Now, let's cut out the small talk. I don't know nothing more about the knife, Captain Logan.
Any idea who might have taken it?
No.
What did you and Balew quarrel about in her dressing room tonight?
I told her if she didn't behave, she was through.
Now, who could take her place if she was?
Her understudy, Eva Carling.
Did you promise Eva anything in case Andrea Balew was out of the picture?
Well, if you want to put it that way, yes. If we ever open the show again, Miss Carling will be a sensation. The star of the year.
I see. Come on, Chapman. I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder. And after I've taken you to headquarters, I'm also picking up Eva Carling. Casey, there's no use sulking.
I'm not sulking.
I'm going to pick up Eva at her apartment and book her on a charge of homicide at least. And we get more evidence. Yeah, she and Miss Williams should have had plenty of time to get there by now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now, look, Casey, Miss Carling was Chapman's new girlfriend. She knew Balew was in her way. She had a motive, all right.
So she took Chapman's own knife, stuck it in Balew's back. All of which would point the finger at Chapman. I'll go this far with you, Logan. Little Eva may have a hunch who did put Balew out of the way. Right now, I'm trying to dig something out of my memory, though. Ever since we were in Chapman's office, I've been scratching my head. Where are we?
Eva Carling's. Is that the building across the street, Flanagan?
Yes, sir. The address Miss Carling gave us, 317, apartment 4B. Looks like a 4-story walk-up.
Oh, come on, Casey. Let's start climbing.
Don't answer it. Don't let them come in. Now, you just relax. Nobody's going to hurt you. Whoever it is, I don't want to see anybody. I'm afraid. I didn't do it. I told you everything. I told you the truth. You believe me, don't you?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course I do, Eva. Maybe it's Carlo Chapman ringing the bell.
No. He wouldn't ring, Miss Williams.
Why not?
He doesn't have to.
Oh.
Whoever it is, let them ring. Don't answer it.
It's funny. Miss Williams and Miss Carling haven't gotten here yet. All that climbing we did for nothing.
Well, instead of coming here to Carling's apartment, they probably went to Annie's place. She's got an extra room.
Ah, that's where they are. Now, climb in.
Hey, Logan, I think I've got it.
What?
Look, remember that photograph in Chapman's office, the dance team of Blue and Balew?
Well, let's go, Flanagan.
Well, look, he said the kid got hurt some years ago. Wasn't able to dance anymore. Well, I've got a memory for faces. You know, you get that way in my business.
Now, hold it a minute, Flanagan. Casey, that fellow going into the apartment house, isn't it? Yeah, that's Blake, the stage manager.
Yeah, that's Blake, all right. Uh-huh. See how he drags one foot? I didn't notice it before.
Yeah, he does walk with a kind of limp. I wonder why he's calling on Carling's apartment.
Logan, I'm beginning to get one of those hunches.
You and your hunches. What is it this time?
So strong that if I weren't sure that Annie and Miss Carling aren't up there, I'd follow Blake up those stairs again.
Why?
Because according to my hunch, Blake is the murderer of Miss Balew. And Miss Carling's life and Annie's, too, won't be worth a nickel if Blake finds him.
Well, let's have it, Casey. At least we know the gals aren't up there. All Blake can do is walk up there and ring the bell as we did. If there is any reason to think he had anything to do with the murder, we can pick him up when he comes down.
Yeah, that's right. The girls are safe enough. Well, Logan, look, here's the basis for my hunch.
Huh?
As I was telling you before about that photograph in Chapman's office.
There they are. There they are again. Don't let them know we're here.
Believe me, Miss Carling, I think we should answer it. No one wants to hurt you, and if it is the police, they'll only want to ask you some more questions.
All right, Miss Williams, if you think so. Let them in. It couldn't be worse than sitting here whispering.
Good. I'll ask who it is.
Who is it?
It's Blake.
Oh, you see, it's only Mr. Blake, your stage manager.
I'm coming, Mr. Blake.
Come in.
Get over there and sit down with Eva.
But I don't see what...
You see this, don't you? Get over there. It's a lot more effective than a knife.
What do you want, Jack?
You saw me go into Balew's dressing room just after you came out, after you scrapped with her. But you'll never tell the police.
No, I didn't see you go in, Jack. I tell you, I didn't.
I thought I'd pick you off with that sandbag, but now I'll have to try again.
You're a fool to think you can use that gun and get away with it.
Listen, I waited a long time to take care of Andrea. 7 years. She knew Chapman crippled me, so I couldn't dance again. Well, she'll never dance again either. When I leave here, I'll take care of Chapman. I couldn't make the cops think he used his knife on Andrea. It's too bad you had to be up here tonight, Miss Williams. But that's how it is.
There you are. It's my hunch. Blake, or Blue if you prefer, had his dancing career cut short by an accident. Now, suppose he nursed a grudge against Balew, seeing her go on and up in show business, when all he could ever hope for was a job as a stage manager now and then.
You know, Casey, at this hour in the morning, I admire your energy to think up such an idea.
Well, Like I said, Logan, it's just a hunch. I'm not completely sold on it myself. I wonder what's keeping Blake so long up there. Guess he's wearing that door buzzer around.
Casey, that's a theatrical apartment house. Lots of theater people live there. He probably lives there, and he's in bed asleep by now while we sit out here in the cold. I'll pick him up tomorrow for more questioning, but right now I'll settle for Eva Carling, and then I'm going home. Flanagan, you know where Miss Williams lives. Step on the starter. We're going there.
Didn't Chapman recognize you backstage?
Huh. He never notices anything unless it wears skirts.
But as a stage manager of Angel Face, surely Miss Balew would remember you as her former partner.
Sure, she knew I had the job. She didn't mind. She thought it was nice to have me under her thumb, like throwing bones to a dog.
But, what about...
You've stalled long enough. We're gonna have some radio music. I'll turn it up real loud for a few minutes.
No, I'll never tell about you, Jack. I'll go away. Miss Williams promised him I'll do anything but make him listen to me. No, don't, please, Jack. Don't shoot. I'll do anything. All my life, Jack, I'll do anything. Only don't. No!
I got him, Logan. Grab his gun, Flanagan, and get the cuffs on it.
I'll take care of him, Captain.
And let's turn off that radio.
Captain Logan.
You all right, Annie? What about the girl? Is she hurt?
No, I mean, yes, I'm all right. I guess Eva fainted now. Casey, you and the Marines. He almost made 2 more angels out of us. Casey, don't ever tell a newspaper I'm bawling.
I won't, Annie. It's a good thing I remembered one thing, Annie.
Yeah, you remembered just in time.
Remembered? Remembered what?
Well, never mind now, honey. Come on. I think we can just make the Blue Note before it closes.
So Blake was deliberately crippled by Chapman, huh, Casey?
That's right, Ethelbert. According to what he told us, he knew when 3 mugs held him up, knocked him out, and didn't take his money. But it was a frame-up. He'd been injured on purpose.
Oh, that's horrible. That was 7 years ago, you say?
And there's no way to pin it on Chapman?
Well, if Miss Balew was alive, she might, but...
But why did Chapman bother with Blake 7 years ago?
Well, Blake and Balew had an ironclad contract that neither could break.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Balew met Carlo and saw her big chance to latch onto the big time. But Blake was a drag, so Chapman helped out by fixing Blake so that he was through as a dancer. And, of course, that nullified the contracts.
There's a 5-letter word for a louse like that. Or is it 6?
Well, he'll get his some night in a dark alley.
To think Chapman can walk around unfettered while poor Blake winds up in a chair.
Yeah, for murder. He almost got me with a sandbag. He was just going to add Eva Carling and our own Annie to his list. He was sure anxious to cover his tracks.
When you broke in, and it was heavenly timing.
Yeah, Casey, how come?
Well, Logan and I started to drive to Annie's place, but at the last moment I remembered that her apartment had just been painted. She wouldn't go there if she could help it, so Of course, I knew you must be at Eva's place, Annie. We did a quick turnaround and got there in time to hear the radio tuned up.
Well, boys, don't think it hasn't been fun. But I'm going home to my new smelling apartment and collapse.
Wait a minute, Annie. I've got a bright idea.
Oh, I know. You feel like stepping out tonight.
No, tomorrow night, Annie. We'll have dinner and a show. What's a good show?
How about Hello Broadway? There's a preview performance.
Wait a minute, Ethel. Wait. Don't tell me. Not again.
Well, as my sister Edna says, quote, most of us keep one eye on the temptations we pray not to be led into. Unquote.
Crime Photographer, starring Staats Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Tonight's story was written by Albert Barker. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
November 13th, 1947, Casey, crime photographer on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. If you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. You can hear all of our programs at classicradio.stream. That's where you stream our shows, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there as well. You can find our social media links, and hope you'll follow us on social media and check our website frequently for information regarding what's going on with our show. Classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. And if you want to help us with acquiring additional classic radio collections, you can buy me a copy. Buy me a copy money goes to not only that, but helping keep our distribution channels up and running. Thanks for tuning in. Thank this station. Support the advertisers. Tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station.